Commander Jack Ripley stood on the bridge of the Galactic Federation vessel Absurdity, watching the stars streak by like cosmic rain. He still couldn't believe humans had been allowed to name one of the Federation's ships. Even more surprising was that they'd approved his suggestion, though he suspected Admiral Thrix 9 hadn't fully understood Earth humor when signing off on it. "Commander," chirped the ship's AI in that annoyingly cheerful tone all Federation tech seemed programmed with, "you're requested in the High Council's briefing chamber immediately." Jack sighed, running a hand through his perpetually disheveled hair. "What is it this time? Another lecture about how humans shouldn't store food in their quarters, because I've told them 100 times, keeping snacks is a deeply ingrained cultural tradition." "Negative, Commander. Priority Alpha communication, classified." That was unusual. Humans had only been Federation members for 8 standard months, and so far they'd been treated like the cosmic equivalent of a toddler at an adult dinner party. Tolerated, occasionally amusing, but not to be trusted with anything important. "On my way," Jack replied, straightening his uniform jacket, which never quite fit right across his shoulders. The Federation's one-size-fits-all approach to clothing hadn't accounted for human physiques, just one of 1,000 little reminders that, out here, Earthfolk were the weird ones. The briefing chamber doors parted with a theatrical whoosh. Everything in space made unnecessary noises, Jack had noticed. Inside, representatives from 7 different species sat around a holographic projection table. Their expressions ranged from the obviously concerned, the mammalian Traxians, to the completely unreadable, the crystalline Vox Collective. But the room had that unmistakable tension that transcended species barriers. Admiral Thrix 9, a tall, blue-skinned humanoid, with 4 arms and bioluminescent patches that flashed with emotion, acknowledged Jack with a curt nod. "Commander Ripley, thank you for your prompt arrival." "Happy to be promptly arriving, Admiral," Jack replied, taking the only empty seat. "What's the situation?" The holographic display in the center of the table flickered to life, showing a planet with large sections highlighted in alarming red. "This is Viridian 6, began the Admiral, her skin patches pulsing anxious yellow. 3 standard days ago, we lost contact with the mining colony there. The same thing happened on Proxys Tau and Beltara 3 in the past month. In each case, when investigation teams arrived, they found..." She paused, her voice modulator emitting what Jack had learned was the equivalent of clearing one's throat. "They found scenes of complete devastation, and they encountered this." The hologram shifted to display footage from what appeared to be a soldier's helmet cam. The image bounced wildly as the wearer ran through a destroyed settlement. Suddenly something massive moved at the edge of the frame, something with too many limbs, reflective armor-like skin, and what looked disturbingly like multiple mouths. The footage ended abruptly with a scream that made Jack's skin crawl. "We've named it the Nexomorph," continued a Saurian scientist Jack recognized from previous briefings. Professor Lox was one of the few Federation members who seemed genuinely fascinated by humans rather than just tolerating them. "It appears immune to our energy weapons, can move faster than our tracking systems, and has some form of adaptive intelligence that counters our tactical algorithms." Jack watched as they displayed more footage, elite Traxian warriors being torn apart, Vox battle constructs shattered, even a Dulani warship being systematically disabled. "So," Jack said, leaning back in his chair, "you've got an unstoppable alien predator decimating colonies, and you called in a human." He couldn't keep the surprise from his voice. Admiral Thrix 9's patches flashed deep purple, embarrassment, if Jack remembered correctly. "We've exhausted conventional options, Commander," she admitted. "The Federation Council believes that unconventional approaches might be required, and nothing says unconventional like humans, right?" Jack couldn't help grinning. Since first contact, the Federation had been simultaneously fascinated and horrified by humanity's approach to problem-solving, which they considered recklessly improvisational at best, and suicidally chaotic at worst. "Precisely," the Admiral replied, missing or ignoring his sarcasm. "Your species has a remarkable capacity for creative violence, and you've survived evolutionary pressures that produced numerous apex predators on your home world." Jack thought about that for a moment. "So you want us to hunt this thing?" "We want you to neutralize the threat by any means necessary," corrected Professor Lox. "We've lost 3 full tactical squads already." Jack studied the frozen image of the creature, the Nexomorph. It was absolutely terrifying, but something about its movement pattern reminded him of something, he couldn't quite place it yet. "I'll need my own team," he said finally, "and complete operational freedom." The council members exchanged glances that transcended species barriers. "Universal bureaucratic reluctance," granted, the Admiral said after a moment. but we're assigning Specialist Zorn 7 to your mission as an advisor and observer. A tall, willowy alien with translucent skin stepped forward from the shadows. Great, Jack thought. A babysitter. I look forward to documenting your methodology, Commander, Zorn 7 said in a voice like wind chimes. The Xenobiology Council has placed bets on your survival time. I've optimistically wagered you'll last 6 hours. Your confidence is touching, Jack replied dryly. He stood up, already mentally preparing his crew roster. One question before I go, why is this called a nexomorph? What does that even mean? The Admiral's patches pulsed with confusion. It's a standard Federation taxonomic prefix for terrifying death creature. What would humans call it? Jack shrugged as he headed for the door. Probably Bob. We like giving horrifying things cute names, makes them less scary. As the door whooshed closed behind him, Jack tapped his comm. Lieutenant Voss, meet me in the armory in 10, and bring the good stuff, not the Federation-approved equipment. The weird human stuff we smuggled aboard. Finally came the reply from Lieutenant Kara Voss, her voice crackling with excitement. Please tell me we get to do something the Council will hate. Oh, absolutely, Jack promised, already feeling that familiar adrenaline rush that humans chased and other species found incomprehensible. We're going monster hunting. The armory of the absurdity was split between standard Federation weapons, and what the human crew called the danger zone, a collection of decidedly low-tech but effective implements of destruction. Lieutenant Kara Voss was already there when Jack arrived, examining what looked like medieval weapons to alien eyes. "Show," she said without looking up, "we finally get to do something other than smile and nod at diplomatic functions." "Something much better," Jack replied, tossing her a datapad. "We get to hunt down the galaxy's newest apex predator while the Federation watches in horror." Kara's eyes lit up. "Oh, this is Christmas." Zorn 7 glided in, translucent skin rippling with disdain as it surveyed the human weapons. "Primitive implements. The nexomorph has armor that disperses energy weapons. Your sticks will be even less effective. That's the funny thing about humans and our primitive methods," Jack said with a smile that made Federation officials nervous. "Sometimes they work when nothing else will." In Bay 420 human crew members had assembled, their gear a mishmash of Federation tech and customized equipment. The Federation Council representatives stood stiffly to one side, expressions ranging from horrified to fascinated. "All right, people," Jack called out. "We're hunting a monster that's killed everything the Federation has thrown at it. So naturally they've called in the species that invented both the flamethrower and the whoopee cushion." Jack activated a hologram of the nexomorph. "It's big, it's mean, and it's immune to energy weapons. The Federation is calling it the most dangerous predator in the galaxy." "They haven't met my ex-wife," called out Chief Engineer Rodriguez, earning laughter from the humans. Admiral Thrix 9 stepped forward, bioluminescent patches pulsing with anxiety. "Commander, this creature has eliminated our best tactical units. It adapts to our strategies." "That's because you fight like machines," Jack replied. "Algorithms and optimal firing solutions. This thing has figured you out because you're predictable, and humans are not." The Admiral asked skeptically. "Humans," Kara interjected, "are the species that sometimes throws the controller when playing video games, even though it has no effect on the outcome. We're not logical, we're weird. We're going to fight this thing the way humans have fought predators since we lived in caves," Jack added, "with improvisation instinct and a healthy disregard for our own safety." "The Council requires a more detailed tactical plan," Zorn 7 insisted. "Here's my detailed plan," Jack said, pointing to the hologram. "We find it, we study it, we figure out how it thinks. Then we kill it." "That's not a plan," protested a Vox Collective representative. "That's barely even a concept." "Welcome to humanity," Jack replied with a grin. "We're still around after millions of years because we're really good at making it up as we go along." As the Federation officials argued, Kara sidled up to Jack. "Did you notice anything about that footage? The way it moves?" "It has a pattern," Jack confirmed. 3-step, dash, pause, strike, like it's conserving energy, and it prioritizes threats, always attacking those firing weapons first. "So we need to get close," Kara concluded, "and we need to hit it really hard." "That's the general idea," Jack confirmed. "Now we just need to figure out how to do that without becoming alien monster chow." Admiral Thrix 9's patches flashed warning colors. "This approach is completely unorthodox. The Council cannot approve a mission with no clear methodology." "That's exactly why you need us," Jack countered. "This thing has beaten your orthodox methods. You need unorthodox. You need human." The room fell silent before the Admiral reluctantly agreed, insisting that Zorn 7 document everything. As the Federation officials filed out, Kara turned to Jack. We're basically going to fight a space monster with sticks and rocks while the most advanced civilization watches. Yeah, Jack replied, grinning. Just like our ancestors did. Only our sticks are made of carbon fiber, and our rocks have fusion cores. This is either going to be the most spectacular failure, or the most ridiculous success in human history. Kara said. Either way, Jack replied. It'll be one hell of a story. The modified Federation dropship looked like it had been vandalized by particularly aggressive museum curators. Its sleek advanced hull was now adorned with makeshift attachments, manual controls, and what appeared to be duct tape in several places, a substance that had sent the Federation engineers into conniptions when they discovered humans still used adhesive in strip form. Jack strode through the final pre-flight checks, watching his crew load equipment that would have been at home in both a medieval armory and a demolition company's warehouse. Lieutenant Voss was supervising the loading of what she'd labeled the "oh shit" contingency crate, which contained their last resort options. Commander Zorn 7 materialized beside him, moving with that unsettling silence that always made Jack wonder if the alien was partly out of phase with normal space. I have reviewed your crew selections and equipment manifests. They are perplexing. That's our specialty, Jack replied, checking off items on his tablet. If we don't perplex you, we're not doing our job right. You have requisitioned 14 different percussion instruments, 37 meters of synthetic rope, 23 containers of a substance called maple syrup, and a device labeled Super Soaker 3000. None of these items appear in any Federation combat database. That's because Federation combat databases don't include entries for annoying the hell out of a predator or sticky trap improvisation, Jack explained. When you can't overpower something, you have to get creative. Zorn 7's skin rippled with what Jack had come to recognize as the alien version of exasperation. The Council is monitoring this mission closely, Commander. Your approach is unprecedented. You say unprecedented, I say innovative. Jack grinned. Besides, your conventional approaches have a 100% failure rate against this thing. Hard to do worse than that. Before Zorn 7 could respond, Kara approached, her combat vest bulging with what looked like sports equipment. Ship's ready, Commander. Rodriguez says she's taken the liberty of disabling the Federation safety protocols on the engines. Says they were, and I quote, cramping her style. Excellent, Jack nodded. Tell everyone to strap in. Federation ships aren't designed for the kind of flying we're about to do. You're modifying the flight patterns as well. Zorn 7's voice had taken on a higher pitch, the alien equivalent of alarm. Oh, absolutely, Jack confirmed cheerfully. Straight lines and optimal trajectories are predictable. We're going for drunk honeybee approach vectors. I must document this, Zorn 7 murmured. Their skin cycling through a range of colors that suggested either fascination or nausea. Perhaps both. On board, the human crew had transformed the dropship's interior. The neat rows of seats had been rearranged into what they called a huddle configuration, designed to facilitate quick conversation and equipment sharing. The walls were covered with printed images of the Nexomorph, annotated with observations and wild theories. Listen up, people, Jack announced as the ship's engines hummed to life. We've got 6 hours of transit time to Viridian 6. During that time, I want everyone analyzing the footage we have of this thing. Look for patterns, weaknesses, anything that might help us understand how it thinks and moves. What if it doesn't think like we do? Asked Corporal Mendez, a former wildlife ranger who joined the Federation Exploration Corps for the ultimate safari experience. Everything thinks in some way, Jack replied. Even plants grow toward light. This thing hunts, which means it has strategies. Strategies can be predicted and countered, or completely thrown off by human chaos, Kara added with a grin. Exactly, Jack nodded. Everyone, get comfortable with your assigned equipment. Remember, nothing fancy. When in doubt, hit it really hard with whatever you've got. As the crew dispersed to their tasks, Zorn 7 approached Jack again. Commander, perhaps I might benefit from understanding the logic behind your methodologies. For accurate documentation. Jack considered the alien for a moment. Despite their apparent skepticism, there seemed to be genuine curiosity there. Sure, have a seat. Let me tell you about how humans hunted before we had fancy weapons. For the next 3 hours, Jack explained the fundamentals of human hunting techniques through history, from prehistoric persistence hunting to medieval trapping methods to modern wildlife management practices. Zorn 7 listened with increasing fascination, occasionally asking questions that revealed how utterly different the Federation's approach to problems was. Your species deliberately exhausts prey by chasing it for many hours, Zorn 7 asked, clearly disturbed by the concept. That seems inefficient. It is, Jack agreed. But it works when you have stamina but no speed advantage. Humans can't outrun most predators in a sprint, but we can outlast almost anything in a marathon. We're persistence predators. And you believe this approach will work against the nexomorph? Not directly, Jack admitted. But the principle applies. We find what it's bad at, and we exploit that mercilessly. Every predator has a weakness. Usually, it's the flip side of their strength. Halfway through the journey, the ship juddered suddenly, banking hard to the left. The Federation pilot's voice came over the comm, sounding strained. "Commander, we've been instructed to perform these evasive maneuvers despite there being no threats in the vicinity. Is this truly necessary?" "Absolutely," Jack confirmed. "We need to get everyone used to unpredictable movements. Also, can you throw in a barrel roll? I've always wanted to try one in space." The pilot's response was untranslatable, but the tone suggested resignation mixed with professional offense. As the ship continued its erratic course, Jack moved among his crew, checking preparations. Rodriguez was modifying weapons, adding what looked like kitchen implements to the business ends of several Federation tools. Mendez was studying the Nexomorph footage frame by frame, making notes about its joint structure and movement capabilities. And Kara was organizing what she called her bag of tricks, a collection of small seemingly random items that Jack knew from experience could become remarkably effective tools in the right hands. "How's morale?" he asked her quietly. "High," she replied. "Everyone's excited to finally do something besides diplomatic missions and exploration. Plus, there's the whole saving the Federation from a monster thing. Good for the human ego. And the actual plan," he pressed. Kara glanced around to make sure Zorn 7 was out of earshot. "I've been studying the footage. You were right about the three-step pattern. It's almost like a loading sequence: gather energy, aim, strike. If we can interrupt that pattern at the right moment, we might have a chance," Jack finished. "Good. Keep working on timing calculations. I want to know exactly when that thing is most vulnerable." The ship lurched again, this time into a spiraling descent that had several crew members whooping with excitement and Zorn 7 clinging to a support beam, their skin cycling through alarmed color patterns. "Commander," the alien managed, "is this standard human tactical preparation?" "Nah," Jack replied, completely unbothered by the spinning view outside the windows. "This is just for fun." As they approached Viridian 6, the mood on the ship shifted. The playfulness gave way to focused preparation. Equipment was double-checked, makeshift weapons were secured, and the human crew fell into a quiet, determined rhythm that even Zorn 7 seemed to recognize as significant. "You're different now," the alien observed as Jack performed a final equipment check. "Less chaotic." "Humans can be serious when we need to be," Jack replied. "We joke around to manage stress, but when it's time to work, we work." "The Federation believes your species is dangerously unpredictable," Zorn 7 said. "Perhaps they are only seeing one aspect of a more complex behavioral pattern." "That's probably the nicest thing any Federation official has ever said about us," Jack smiled. "Now strap in. Landing on a monster-infested planet is about to get interesting." The dropship broke atmosphere with a thunderous roar, descending toward the abandoned mining colony that had become the Nexomorph's hunting ground. Through the viewport, Jack could see the skeletal remains of Federation structures, now ominously silent. "Welcome to Viridian 6, he announced to his crew. "Remember your training, trust your instincts, and whatever you do, don't let that thing establish its rhythm. We're here to disrupt, disorient, and destroy." As the ship touched down, kicking up dust from the colony's central plaza, Jack felt that familiar surge of adrenaline, the human response to danger that had kept the species alive through millions of years of evolution. The Federation might have faster ships and fancier weapons, but humans had something that technology couldn't replicate: the sheer stubborn determination to survive against all odds. "Let's go hunt a monster," he said, hitting the door release. Viridian 6's atmosphere had a sickly green tinge, the air thick with mineral particles from the mining operations. The abandoned colony stretched before them like a hastily evacuated theme park. Everything left exactly as it had been when the panic started. Half-eaten meals still sat on tables in the mess hall. Excavation equipment stood frozen mid-operation, their operators long gone. "Or worse." "Cheery place," Kara remarked, adjusting her grip on what looked like a heavily modified baseball bat with suspicious attachments. "Reminds me of Detroit after the AI rebellion." "Stay focused," Jack replied, though he appreciated the attempt at levity. Rodriguez, Mendez, take point. Chen and Patel on R6. Everyone else, diamond formation. The human crew moved with practiced efficiency that seemed to surprise Zorn 7, who hovered near Jack with monitoring equipment humming softly. Your people move differently now, the alien observed. There is a coordination I did not anticipate. Humans have been hunting in packs since before we had language, Jack explained as they advanced through the colony's main thoroughfare. It's in our DNA. They passed the remains of what had clearly been a Federation defensive position. Energy weapons scorch marks radiated outward in a perfect circle, suggesting they'd fired in all directions at once. In the center lay the crumpled remains of Federation combat exoskeletons, torn apart like paper dolls. Well, that's encouraging, muttered Corporal Mendez, tightening her grip on her weapon, a modified harpoon gun that would have looked at home in a 19th century whaling ship. Notice something? Jack asked, kneeling beside the remains. The exoskeletons are torn apart, but there are no bite marks. This thing doesn't eat what it kills. It's not hunting for food, Kara realized. Which means, Jack let the implication hang. It's hunting for sport, finished Rodriguez, his expression grim, like humans used to. Fascinating, Zorn 7 murmured, recording the scene. A predator with motivations beyond sustenance. This suggests a higher level of cognition than the Federation initially believed. Great, Kara deadpanned. It's not just unstoppable, it's smart too. Jack stood, brushing dust from his knees. Smart doesn't mean unbeatable, it means it can make mistakes. Rodriguez, what's the scanner say? The engineer consulted a cobbled-together device that would have given Federation tech designers aneurysms. I'm getting unusual heat signatures from the mining operations center. About half a click north. That's our destination then, Jack decided. Stay tight, stay quiet, and remember, if you see it, don't shoot. Observe first. The group moved through the deserted streets, past empty habitat modules and abandoned vehicles. The silence was oppressive, broken only by the occasional creak of settling structures and the soft footfalls of the human team. The Federation rescue team reported making it this far without incident. Zorn 7 informed them, consulting its data. The attacks began when they reached the central plaza, which we're approaching now, Jack noted. Everyone, heightened awareness. Look for movement, listen for anything unusual. They emerged into a circular plaza that had once been the social heart of the colony. A large fountain stood in the center, now dry and filled with dust. Buildings surrounded the space like silent sentinels. I don't like this, Mendez said quietly. Too exposed. That's why we're not going to cross it, Jack replied. We'll skirt the edge, using the buildings for cover. They began moving along the periphery of the plaza, staying close to the walls. Jack felt the hairs on the back of his neck standing up, an instinctive human warning system millions of years old. Something's watching us, he murmured. As if summoned by his words, a shadow detached itself from the top of a nearby building. It moved with such fluid grace, that for a moment, it appeared to be liquid rather than solid. The nexomorph was larger in person than the holographic projections had suggested, at least 3 meters tall, when fully extended, with a body that seemed to consist of overlapping plates of iridescent armor-like material. Holy shit, breathed Rodriguez. That thing is beautiful, finished Mendez, her voice hushed with the respect of one apex predator recognizing another. The nexomorph paused at the edge of the building, its form shifting slightly as it seemed to evaluate the new arrivals. Jack could now see what appeared to be sensory organs, not quite eyes, but something similar, tracking their movements. Nobody move, Jack ordered softly. It's establishing our threat level. Zorn 7's monitoring equipment emitted a sudden high-pitched whine as it detected something, and the nexomorph's attention snapped toward the alien. In an instant, its form compressed, coiled, and then launched across the plaza with such speed that it seemed to blur. Down, Jack shouted, tackling Zorn 7 to the ground as the creature sailed over them. The nexomorph landed with preternatural grace, immediately whirling to face them again. Now that it was closer, Jack could see that what had appeared to be a solid form was actually a complex arrangement of segmented limbs and protective plates that shifted and reconfigured with each movement. Federal squad, full defense pattern, shouted a voice, and Jack turned to see a unit of Federation soldiers emerging from one of the buildings. They must have been hiding, waiting for reinforcements. No, don't, Jack began, but it was too late. The Federation troops opened fire with their energy weapons, filling the air with blinding pulses of light. The nexomorph's armor plates shifted, somehow absorbing or deflecting the energy. Then it moved. Jack had studied predators his entire life, but he'd never seen anything move like this. The creature seemed to flow between the energy bolts, its body constantly reconfiguring to present the smallest possible target. It reached the first Federation soldier in seconds, one limb lashing out in a precise strike. The soldier crumpled without a sound. "Fall back," the Federation commander ordered, but panic was already setting in among the troops. Their formation broke, and the Nexomorph capitalized immediately, flowing among them with terrible efficiency. "We have to help them," Kara said, raising her weapon. "No," Jack grabbed her arm. "Watch. Learn. That's why we're here." The slaughter was over in seconds. The Federation troops, for all their advanced technology and training, might as well have been standing still. The Nexomorph moved through them with the casual grace of a dancer, each strike precise and economical. When the last soldier fell, the creature paused, its form settling into what Jack recognized as its resting configuration, and then, to his surprise, it seemed to pose. There was no other word for it. The Nexomorph arranged itself over its fallen prey in what was unmistakably a display of dominance. "It's showing off," Jack realized. "It's proud." "That's disturbingly human," Kara murmured. The Nexomorph's sensory organs swiveled, locating the human team once more. This time, its response was different. Instead of attacking immediately, it studied them, body shifting slightly as if reassessing. "It recognizes we're not the same as the others," Mendez observed quietly. "It's curious. And that's our advantage," Jack replied. "Rodriguez, now." The engineer activated a device on his belt, and suddenly the plaza was filled with a cacophony of sound, a mix of earth animal calls, human music, and mechanical noises, all at volumes that made everyone wince. The Nexomorph recoiled, its form contracting defensively. The overlapping plates that formed its body vibrated visibly. "Sound sensitivity," Jack noted. "Interesting." The creature recovered quickly, however, reorienting toward the humans. It began that now familiar three-step sequence: compress, aim, launch, scatter. Jack ordered, and the human team broke in all directions, just as the Nexomorph propelled itself forward. It adjusted mid-flight, targeting Rodriguez as the source of the disruptive sound. The engineer barely had time to dive aside, the creature's striking limb missing him by centimeters. "Phase 2, Jack shouted. Kara and Mendez deployed their prepared weapons, modified pressure cannons that fired not projectiles but a sticky, viscous substance of Kara's design. The goo splattered across the Nexomorph's sensory organs, and several of its limb joints. The creature made a sound for the first time, a high, keening vibration that set Jack's teeth on edge. It thrashed, trying to remove the substance, its movements suddenly less coordinated. "It doesn't like that," Kara observed with satisfaction. Jack watched closely, noting how the creature's plates shifted to try to scrape away the goo. "Look at the movement pattern. It can't reconfigure properly when its joints are restricted." The Nexomorph was learning quickly, however. It stopped thrashing, and instead began a systematic cleaning process, using one limb to clear another with precise, careful movements. "Fall back to position B," Jack ordered. "We've seen enough for now. We're not going to kill it," Mendez asked, surprised. "Not yet," Jack replied. "We just completed the first hunt, now we plan the second." As the human team retreated strategically toward their fallback position, Jack noticed something odd. The Nexomorph didn't pursue immediately. Instead, it watched them go, its clean sensory organs, tracking their movement with what looked remarkably like respect. "Commander," Zorn 7 said as they reached safety, its voice tinged with what might have been awe. "Your team just survived an encounter that decimated an entire Federation squad. How did you know to use sound and adhesives?" "We didn't," Jack admitted. "We tried what worked against Earth predators. Disrupt their senses, restrict their movement. Basic hunting principles. But you didn't kill it," the alien pointed out. "First rule of hunting something new," Jack explained. "Don't commit to the kill until you understand your prey." "We learned more from that encounter than all your Federation reports combined." Back at their temporary base, a reinforced storage facility they'd secured earlier, the human team gathered to compare observations. "It's not invincible," Kara noted, reviewing the footage they'd captured. "It's just really good at what it does. And what it does is adapt to predictable threats," Jack added. "It's seen energy weapons before, it knows exactly how to counter them, but it had no pre-programmed response to maple syrup, mixed with industrial adhesive." Mendez was studying the creature's movement patterns frame by frame. "Look at this," she said, pointing to her screen. "When it attacks, there's a moment, just a split second, when it commits fully to the strike. All its momentum goes into that movement, which means it can't change direction during that phase, Jack realized. It's vulnerable when it commits to the attack. Rodriguez joined them, wiping sticky residue from his gear. So we need to bait it into attacking, then hit it when it can't adjust. Not just hit it, Jack corrected, a slow smile spreading across his face, as he finally recognized what had been nagging at him since he first saw the creature move. We need to slap it. The others stared at him. Have you lost your mind? Kara asked, not entirely joking. Think about it, Jack insisted. Its armor plates overlap, right? They shift to absorb or deflect energy. But there's one configuration they can't protect against, a flat, broad surface impact at the right angle. He demonstrated with his hands. If we hit it with a focused attack, like a spear or bullet, the plates can shift to deflect. But a slap, a wide, flat impact, would hit multiple plates simultaneously. They can't all shift away at once without exposing the vulnerable joints underneath. Mendez considered this, then slowly nodded. Like hitting a crocodile's snout, the pressure disperses in a way their defense isn't designed to handle. Exactly, Jack confirmed. We need to deliver a high-force, wide-area impact, at exactly the right moment in its attack sequence. A slap, Rodriguez repeated, looking dubious. We're going to take down the most dangerous predator in the galaxy, with a slap. Not just any slap, Jack grinned. A human slap. Full force, perfect timing, right on whatever passes for its face. From the corner, Zorn 7 had been listening silently. Now the alien skin rippled with what Jack had come to recognize as the equivalent of incredulous laughter. The Federation's most advanced tactical AI couldn't develop a strategy against this creature, Zorn 7 said, and you're proposing to defeat it with primitive manual combat. Sometimes the oldest solutions are the best ones, Jack replied. Now who's got the biggest hands? At their makeshift base, Jack stood before a holographic projection of the Nexomorph, breaking down their observations to the team. The Nexomorph has 3 distinct phases: compression, targeting, and strike. During that final strike phase, it becomes momentarily committed and vulnerable. Kara pointed to where the creature's plates overlapped near its central nervous system. The armor is most vulnerable here, where the sensory organs connect to the main body. During the strike, these plates have to remain fixed to maintain sensory input. So that's our target, Mendez confirmed. But how do we get close enough without becoming shish kebab? Jack smiled. We bait it. The Nexomorph prioritizes threats based on perceived danger level. It went after the Federation soldiers with energy weapons first, and it targeted Rodriguez when he deployed the sonic disruptor. Yeah, thanks for using me as the canary in that coal mine, boss, Rodriguez muttered. We need to set up a scenario where one of us appears to be the greatest threat, drawing its attack, while another is positioned to deliver the slap at the perfect moment. Zorn 7 spoke from the corner. This strategy relies on precise timing and coordination that seems improbable. The Nexomorph moves faster than most organic reflexes can respond. That's why we're not going to rely on reflexes, Jack replied. We're going to use prediction and placement. The Nexomorph is fast, but it's not random. It follows its programming. Like a machine, Kara realized. Like a machine, Jack confirmed. And that's why it's vulnerable to human unpredictability. Jack quickly assigned roles. Rodriguez would create a sonic perimeter to herd the creature. Mendez would prepare adhesive grenades to restrict its movement, and Jack and Kara would form the slap team at the center. So one of us is bait, and the other is supposed to slap a 3-meter-tall death machine at the exact moment it's trying to impale the first person. Kara asked skeptically. Exactly, Jack grinned. Zorn 7's skin shifted to a shade of stunned disbelief. Commander, this plan seems to rely heavily on luck. Not luck, Jack corrected. Pattern recognition. Humans evolved to throw spears at moving targets and dodge predators in high grass. We're betting on millions of years of evolutionary advantages against a creature that's never encountered our particular brand of madness. After the team dispersed to prepare, Kara approached Jack. Which one of us is the bait? I am. You're the slapper. You've got broader palms and stronger wrists from all those 0G handball championships. You'll deliver a more effective slap. You really think this will work? A slap? Against that thing. Its armor is designed to deflect focused impacts and absorb energy weapons. A slap delivers force across a wide surface area at an angle its defensive systems aren't configured to handle. As preparations continued, Zorn 7 approached Jack. When the Council assigned me to this mission, it was with the expectation that I would document human failure. There is a faction that believes your species is too chaotic to be valuable Federation members. I'm shocked, absolutely shocked, Jack replied dryly. However, I find myself revising my assessment. There is a method to your apparent madness, an intuitive approach to problem solving that our algorithms simply don't account for. The team gathered for a final review of the plan. Rodriguez would create the sonic perimeter to drive the creature toward the center. Mendez would target its lower extremities with adhesive grenades, and Kara would deliver the critical slap while Jack acted as bait. And if I miss? Kara asked quietly. Jack met her gaze. Don't. If this goes sideways, Jack added, the fallback plan is simple, run like hell to the dropship and bomb the site from orbit. As they moved to their positions in the plaza, Zorn 7 walked beside Jack. Regardless of the outcome, your species' approach to problem solving is remarkable. The Federation has encountered few species that combine your contradictory traits, technological sophistication alongside primitive methodologies, scientific understanding with intuitive action. That's humans for you, Jack smiled. We never quite left the cave, we just brought our clubs to the stars. Jack took his place in the center as Viridian 6's green sun began to set. He activated his comm unit. Remember, no matter what happens, stick to the plan. The Nexomorph adapts to changing tactics, so once we commit fully. Standing alone in the gathering darkness, armed with only a small sonic disruptor, Jack murmured, "Come on, you ugly bastard. Dinner's served." The waiting was always the worst part of hunting. Jack had learned that lesson tracking elk through Montana's forests as a teenager, predators and prey locked in a timeless dance of patience and opportunity. Except this time, he was deliberately playing the role of prey. The plaza had grown darker as Viridian 6's sun dipped below the horizon. Emergency lighting flickered sporadically around the perimeter, creating pools of sickly blue illumination amid growing shadows. Perfect hunting conditions for both sides. Movement on the eastern approach, Mendez's voice whispered through Jack's earpiece. Structural displacement patterns match our target. Jack didn't respond verbally. No need to give away positions with unnecessary chatter. He simply tapped his comm unit twice, the pre-arranged signal for acknowledgement. Rodriguez's voice came next. Sonic perimeter active but silent. Ready to initiate on your mark. Another double tap. Kara's voice was barely audible. In position. Don't get yourself killed before I can save your ass, Commander. Jack allowed himself a small smile at that. A single tap this time, their private signal. He could feel it now, that primal human sense that had kept the species alive through countless predator encounters across evolutionary history. The feeling of being watched. Hunted. The Nexomorph was near. Jack casually raised his hand, activating the small sonic emitter he carried. It produced no sound perceptible to human ears, but their analysis of the creature's reactions suggested it could detect frequencies far beyond human range. A shadow moved at the edge of the plaza, too fluid to be structural, too deliberate to be natural. The Nexomorph had arrived. Contact. Jack subvocalized into his comm, initiating Phase 1. He pressed another button on his wrist control, and the sonic perimeter hummed to life. The Nexomorph reacted immediately, its form contracting defensively as the uncomfortable frequencies surrounded it. The creature moved along the edge of the plaza, testing the sonic barrier. Jack could almost see its alien thought process, mapping the terrain, identifying the exit routes, recognizing the trap. But like any predator facing unfamiliar conditions, it focused on the most obvious target, the human standing alone in the center. "It's assessing," Jack murmured. "Stand by." The Nexomorph's form shifted, plates realigning as it prepared to move. Jack tensed, ready for what was coming. When it moved, it was almost too fast to track. The creature didn't attack directly. Instead, it launched itself to a position halfway between its starting point and Jack, landing on the side of a building. It clung there, sensory organs oriented toward the human, body pulsing slightly. "It's changing tactics," Kara whispered urgently. "It knows something's wrong." "Stay cool," Jack replied, his voice steady. "Predators can smell fear, sometimes literally." He stared directly at the Nexomorph, a calculated challenge. Then, in a move that caused Zorn 7 to emit a sound like tinkling glass breaking, Jack did something profoundly, inexplicably human. He waved at it. "Hey ugly. Looking for a challenge? Federation troops too easy for you, try a real apex predator." The Nexomorph's sensory cluster reoriented, focusing intently on this strange prey that wasn't running, wasn't hiding, but actively drawing attention to itself. Its body language shifted in a way that Jack, with his lifetime of studying predators, read clearly as confusion. "Rodriguez," Jack said calmly, "sound pattern alpha, let's remind it why it doesn't like us." The sonic perimeter changed frequency, pulsing in a pattern specifically designed to agitate the creature based on their earlier observations. The Nexomorph's plates vibrated visibly, and it shifted position again, moving to another vantage point. It's trying to find a way around the sound, Mendez observed. Smart, Mendez, adhesive grenade at coordinate Mark III, Jack ordered. Discourage that path. A small projectile arced through the air, landing precisely where the Nexomorph seemed to be considering moving next. It exploded into a web of sticky viscous material that clung to the building's surface. The creature paused, sensory organs swiveling between Jack and the new obstacle. Jack could almost see its deadly calculus, weighing options, assessing threats, planning its approach. "Come on," Jack murmured. "Take the bait." As if hearing him, the Nexomorph made its decision, its body compressed, coiling with stored energy. Its sensory organs locked onto Jack. The targeting phase had begun. "Get ready," Jack said softly. 3, 2, the Nexomorph launched, its body streamlining into a deadly projectile aimed directly at him. Time seemed to slow, as Jack watched death hurtle toward him, precisely as planned. 1, now. Jack dropped flat to the ground as the creature passed overhead. In the same moment, Kara stepped out from her hiding place, arm already swinging in a perfect arc. The slap connected with a sound that defied description, somewhere between a thunderclap and a ripe watermelon being hit with a baseball bat. Kara's palm struck precisely at the junction between the creature's sensory cluster and main body, delivering force across a wide surface area at exactly the angle they'd calculated. The effect was immediate and dramatic. The Nexomorph's forward momentum halted abruptly as its armored plates failed to redistribute the force properly. Its body convulsed, plates shifting chaotically as its nervous system struggled to process what had just happened. "Mendez, now," Jack shouted, rolling away from the stunned creature. Adhesive grenades rained down, enveloping the Nexomorph's lower extremities in quick hardening goo. Rodriguez activated all sonic emitters at maximum frequency, creating a disorienting wall of sound. The creature thrashed, trying to recover as its sensory systems overloaded. Jack scrambled to his feet, pulling a device from his belt, the core of their backup plan. "Clear," he shouted, and his team immediately pulled back to pre-arranged safe distances. The Nexomorph was regaining coordination, its armored plates realigning as it adapted to the assault. But it was too late. Jack activated the device, a modified Federation energy pulse generator reconfigured to deliver its entire charge in a single, devastating burst, and slammed it against the creature's now exposed neural junction. The resulting discharge was blinding. Electrical energy coursed through the Nexomorph's body, finding pathways through the now compromised armor plates. The creature convulsed once, twice, and then collapsed into a smoking heap of iridescent plating. Silence fell over the plaza. "Is it dead?" Rodriguez asked after a moment. Jack approached cautiously, scanning device in hand. "Neural activity minimal. It's not dead, but it's not getting up anytime soon either." Kara joined him, flexing her reddened palm. "I can't believe that worked." "The physics were sound," Jack replied, though he couldn't entirely hide his own amazement. "Though I'll admit, I was only about 70% sure." 70. Kara looked at him incredulously. "You had us risk our lives on 70% odds. That's actually really good for a first encounter with an alien apex predator," Jack pointed out reasonably. The Federation had 0 successes with conventional approaches. By now, the entire team had gathered around the fallen Nexomorph. Mendez was already taking samples while Rodriguez scanned the creature's armor plating with obvious technological envy. "The dispersion properties of these plates are incredible," the engineer marveled. "They're like adaptive metamaterials. No wonder energy weapons couldn't penetrate." Zorn 7 approached last, moving with unusual hesitation. The alien's skin had shifted to a color Jack hadn't seen before, a soft pulsing gold that suggested profound amazement. "You slapped it," Zorn 7 said, voice chimes creating a complex melody of disbelief. "The most feared predator encountered in 3 galactic sectors, and you disabled it with a physical strike from an unaugmented organic limb." "Well, when you put it that way, it does sound kind of impressive," Jack admitted with a grin. The Federation deployed battle cruisers, drone swarms, and tactical AI systems against this creature, Zorn 7 continued, circling the fallen Nexomorph with scientific interest. "All failed. Yet you succeeded with improvisational tactics and primitive physical contact. Sometimes the old ways are the best ways," Jack shrugged, "especially against something that's evolved defenses against all the new ways." Kara was examining her still red palm. So what happens now? Federation Research Division carves this thing up to study its armor. Absolutely not, came a new voice. Admiral Thrix 9 strode into the plaza, flanked by Federation security officers. Her bioluminescent patches were pulsing with a mixture of colors that Jack interpreted as conflicted emotions. Admiral, Jack greeted her casually. Nice of you to drop by after all the dangerous work is done. The Admiral ignored his jab. The Nexomorph will be contained and studied, not dissected, and your mission report will be classified at the highest levels. Why? Kara asked, suspicious. We just saved 3 colonized worlds from this thing. Shouldn't that be celebrated? Admiral Thrix 9's patches shifted to a deeper blue. The Federation Council is concerned about the implications of your success. Let me guess, Jack said, crossing his arms. They're not thrilled that humans solved with a slap what their advanced technology couldn't handle with all its firepower. That is one interpretation, the Admiral admitted. There are factions within the Council who find your methods concerning, unpredictable, dangerously innovative. They're afraid of us, Mendez realized. With reason, Zorn 7 interjected, surprising everyone. I have studied 17 dominant species across the known galaxy. None combine your particular traits, your capacity for violence with your creativity, your technological advancement with your willingness to abandon it for primitive solutions, your individualism with your pack coordination. The alien skin rippled with colors that Jack couldn't fully interpret. You are in many ways the perfect predators, adaptable in ways that algorithms cannot predict. A heavy silence fell over the plaza, as humans and aliens alike contemplated the implications. So what happens now? Jack finally asked. Admiral Thrix 9 straightened formally. Now Commander Ripley, you and your team will receive the Federation's highest commendation in a private ceremony. The official report will credit a joint Human Federation task force with neutralizing the threat through collaborative methods. You're going to bury what really happened, Jack translated. We are going to contextualize it, the Admiral corrected. The truth is documented in Specialist Zorn 7's complete report, which will be reviewed by the Security Council, but the general populace doesn't need to know that humans can disable apex predators with, as you put it, one slap. Jack considered arguing, then thought better of it. Sometimes winning was enough, even if no one else knew how you did it. Fine, he conceded. But my team gets full salvage rights to any Nexomorph biomaterial left at the previous attack sites. For research purposes, the Admiral's patches flashed with alarm, but she nodded stiffly. Acceptable, within containment protocols. As Federation personnel moved in to secure the fallen creature, Jack gathered his team. Well done everyone, he said quietly. History might not remember what we did here today, but we know. Humanity just proved we belong among the stars, even if the Federation isn't ready to admit it. Kara flexed her hand again. Next time a terrifying space monster threatens the galaxy, maybe they'll call us first instead of last. Oh, they will, Jack assured her with a knowing smile. They're too practical not to, they just won't advertise it. Rodriguez looked thoughtful. You know what the funny thing is? All their advanced technology, and they never thought to try hitting it really hard. That's the advantage of being a species that solved problems with rocks before we invented philosophers, Jack replied. We remember the basics. As they walked back toward their ship, Zorn 7 fell into step beside Jack. Commander, may I ask a personal question? Sure. Were you truly confident in your slapping strategy, or was this another example of what humans call winging it? Jack laughed. A bit of both. The physics made sense, but there's always that moment when theory meets reality. That's where humans excel, in that chaos zone between calculation and action. Fascinating, the alien mused. My final report will suggest that the Federation reconsider humanity's role in interspecies defense initiatives. You bring a unique perspective. That's diplomatic phrasing for crazy enough to try slapping an alien monster, Jack noted wryly. Indeed, Zorn 7 agreed, skin shimmering with what Jack now recognized as amusement. But perhaps the galaxy occasionally needs such approaches. As their ship lifted off from Viridian 6, leaving behind a dumbfounded Federation research team, and one very unconscious apex predator, Jack couldn't help but feel satisfied. Humanity had been dismissed as primitive, unpredictable,
and barely civilized by much of the galactic community. Yet here they were, having succeeded where the most advanced civilizations had failed, armed with nothing more sophisticated than good observation skills and the uniquely human confidence to try slapping a problem into submission. So Kara asked, as they broke atmosphere, nursing her hand with an ice pack. What do you think they'll call us now? The species that slaps? Knowing the Federation bureaucracy, Jack replied with a grin. They'll probably classify us as manual impact specialists. Sounds more dignified than the slap monkeys of Earth. The human crew erupted in laughter as their ship accelerated toward the stars, leaving behind a galaxy that had just learned a valuable lesson. Never underestimate a species that survived its own evolutionary gauntlet by any means necessary, even if that means sometimes looking ridiculous while doing it. After all, there's nothing more human than solving the universe's deadliest problems with the simplest possible solution. Sometimes, that solution is just one really good slap.